Radio. Ook op Bok TV.
Dit is Bok Radio 98.9 FM in die Weskaap, wêreldwyd bokradio.co.za. Our very special guest this afternoon has had 4 top 10 singles, 2 number 1 albums, Brit Awards, Grammy nods. You will certainly recognize him for some of his biggest hits. We, of course, talking about none other than musician legendary James Bay, who recently confirmed he's back with new music. James, I cannot believe the music montage we've just played. You obviously didn't hear or see this, but this was 10 years ago. How does it feel to be back?
Oh, it feels great. It's mad to think that my first music came out 10 years ago, and ultimately it's still like a complete privilege and very humbling that it landed in the way that it did around the world. Because, you know, I still play those songs every single time I play live, and everybody wants to hear them and sings all the words, and that doesn't get old, that experience. I think as time goes on, it almost gets more kind of unbelievable. Initially, you can't believe people are interested. And then 10 years later, people still want this. I walked out on stage the other night just to play a little acoustic thing, a little solo thing to a few hundred people.
Yeah.
I walked out, and as I walked out, everybody cheered. That was very exciting. And then as the cheering died down and I stood in front of the microphone, I hadn't said a word into the microphone yet. I hadn't played a note, and someone shouted, "Play Hold Back the River!" No, which is never going to be the song I play, but it's always going to get played.
Yeah, it's so surreal, yeah.
Yeah, it's completely surreal still.
Ons gesels met James Bay hier op Bok Radio. Now, your new album is called Changes All the Time. How has your music changed, and have you changed?
Yeah, I've definitely changed. I think it's interesting. This music feels, it feels quite effortlessly me. You know, I've pushed myself in different directions over the last 3 or 4 albums, very intentionally, enjoying, exploring, different approaches, different sounds, enjoying exploring different. There's a huge range of different influences that I have. And sometimes I'll make a record and not really touch on some of the influences, but touch heavily on others. And I've done versions of that on this record, but like really, I've listened to my. It sounds a little cheesy, but I've kind of listened to my heart, and I've just made what feels effortlessly like me music. And I've done that in response to the fact that I have changed a lot over the last 10 years. I've changed in many ways. Internally, so I'm really enjoying just the effortlessness with which I made this music, and the effortlessness that I think it has in terms of its sound.
Just watching you now and just listening to it, it's almost like you're just taking it all in, and which brings me to my next question, more of a statement. And I've read that you said that you feel more true to yourself, and this, and I quote, a taste of true musical freedom. What do you mean by that?
Well, the truth for a lot of artists, and definitely me included, is that you know, we sense that sort of pressure around us to make music and that reflects other music, you know, that reflects the sort of trends of the moment. And I've been guilty of that as much as anybody. Maybe not in the most obvious ways, and maybe sometimes in more obvious ways. And there's not an awful lot that's very freeing about that, even if you engage in it sort of intentionally. So this time, I found a way, with the help of my very good friend Gabe Simon, who produced this record with me. I found a way to feel a little, if not a lot, more free in my making the music by blocking out those voices and those pressures, and just following my instincts about what I enjoy when I'm in the studio and what I want to hear.
Like you said earlier as well, following your heart and your music and your feelings.
So much more freeing to do that. I'm looking forward to trying to do that more going forward.
These 11 tracks embody the apex of James Bay's output as not only a generational songwriter, but also as the deft and dynamic guitarist with a distinct voice of his own. Um, I see names here like Noah Khan and the Lumineers, and also Brandon Flowers of the Killers. Which brings me to my next question. How big are you? Speaking now of going on your following your heart and being on your own terms with music, how big are you on collaborations and
Bigger,
co-writing?
yeah, a bit bigger and bigger. You know, I've done a lot of co-writing in my time, and I'll name another name actually to add to the list that you said there. I wrote a song on this album with the brilliant artist called Holly Humberstone, who is
Oh
a
wow.
newer in the grand scheme, but she's very much sort of worth checking out and getting into. You know, she's still young, but she makes music like she's been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I got the opportunity to write with her. I got the opportunity to write with Brandon. The song "Up All Night" that I wrote in the studio. I you know, I chanced my arm and I asked Noah and the Lumineers, who I'm friends with, if they would get involved in it and sing on it and collaborate, and they said yes. And I'm enjoying it more than ever before. Collaborating in different ways with other artists.
Mm.
It's a fun way and a very kind of, yes, exclusive and privileged way to sort of show that I'm a fan.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I enjoyed it on this record, and I hope to do it more going forward.
In just in short, just take us behind the closed doors. Just paint us a picture when you sit down with your co-writers and your friends. Well, what happens? Is there a
Tell you what,
brainstorm session?
yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I when Brandon Flowers, you know, so fantastic, legendary, and sort of
Mm,
famous for being the front man of the Killers. Like,
mm,
um, we have a mutual friend, and he said, Brandon, you know, Brandon would really would like to sort of be working more with newer, younger artists than him. And I said, wow, I mean, sign me up.
yeah.
I would love to be able to do that. And so our mutual friend signed me up, and I got to Brandon's studio. Um, I was very nervous, but I was very excited. Uh, and I took a melody, you know, I took an
Mm,
idea. I took something original and new and untouched, and to see if it would spark some inspiration in the room. And it did. Brandon really liked it, which is helpful when you co-write, that the person opposite you really likes what you've
mm,
got, what you come up with.
yeah.
It's the same if somebody shows me something. Um, and I just remember how sort of profound he seemed to be, particularly as a lyricist.
Mm,
And uh he would sort of stand up on the microphone with the chords that we'd chosen kind of looping around the speakers, and he'd open up his phone and he'd have lots of different lyric ideas sketched down in there, and he'd just try singing them into the microphone so that we could sort of hear them and he could hear them. And I just, that experience, I sat there as a
wow.
fan and as a student, you know, and
Mm,
I really enjoyed watching that, and I felt like I learned a lot because he wasn't afraid.
yes.
That was one of the big lessons, is he's got enough experience at this point to not
Yeah.
worry if something sounds goofy or not. And it didn't. Nothing sounded goofy. Everything sounded quite remarkable to my ear.
Yeah.
And sort of prolific in his sort of ability to just reel things off and be inspired and be inspiring.
Okay. Big fan of him as well and the Killers. But back to James Bay. Yeah, as Bay Borkeradi, this is the single Up All Night has amassed over 30 million global streams. Congratulations.
Oh, that's not right. It's been out for about 3 months. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Now the other big news is that you are um coming to South Africa.
Finally.
Yes, please. Finally. Have you ever been to South Africa before?
Oh, I haven't, and I've got lots of I've got lots of friends
Okay.
who have played shows there, and I've got a few friends that live there, and then I've also got my dad. So my dad worked in the wine business for 45 years and
Okay.
found himself going to South Africa a good handful of times, and I can't claim to be the sort of wine connoisseur that my dad is in the
Mm,
slightest, but I
mm.
certainly like a drop, and I'm really excited to come over for those kinds of reasons. And sort of, you know, there's a South African wine called Chocolate Block that
Yes.
that I drink quite a lot of over here. My friend introduced me to it. His brother has lived in South Africa for 15, 20 years. So
Yes.
no, I'm really excited to finally be coming to South Africa.
Okay, well, we are looking forward.
Not just for the wine.
Absolutely. Good music, good friends, and
Yeah.
making memories. So there we have it. James Bay announces his first ever, hopefully not the last, South African tour. March 2025, die internasionale bekroonde en multi-Grammy bekroonde sanger liedjieskrywer James Bay, wat in Maart volgende jaar op 'n hoogs verwagte toer deur Suid-Afrika gaan begin, wat sy sielvolle melodieë en opwindende optredes na aanhangers in Kaapstad en Johannesburg bring. So this would be, again, your first official tour to South Africa, Cape Town, 27th of March, 2025 at Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens. What more do you want? James Bay and Kirstenbosch Gardens. It's really a beautiful place. And then Johannesburg, Saturday, 29th of March, 2025 at Marks Park, Emmarentia. Also beautiful weather. Hopefully it's going to be beautiful weather, but
We'll play whatever the weather will play.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, beautiful scenic setup there. So we're looking forward to this. Tickets on sale at breakoutevents.co.za. That's as of, where are we? The 30th. Yeah, as of tomorrow. Go on, South Africa, Cape Town, Johannesburg. He's coming. It's James Bay. Listen, congratulations. And
Thank
finally, we are looking forward to welcoming you in to South Africa. Are you, apart from your tour to Cape Town and Johannesburg, do you have anything else planned?
Not at the moment. Not right now, but I'm going to wait till we get a little bit nearer the time, and then I'm going to really sort of dive into all the different fun things that we can hopefully do. My parents went on a safari,
Yeah.
and years ago, and I would absolutely love to have a go at something like that. But we'll see how we go.
Okay. James Bay hier op Bokradi. James, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you. Once again, congratulations on all your achievements. Welcome back. And not that you left. And then again, looking forward to coming to South Africa. James, thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.